Let's get to the very latest from the family of a South Jersey influencer found dead in Africa over the weekend.
The family of Ashley Robinson wants answers. They say the story just doesn't add up. Police say she was found unconscious in a luxury villa in Zanzibar and later pronounced dead at a hospital. CBS Philadelphia's Ross DeMattei is following the story from our newsroom tonight. Ross?
Yuki, still a lot of unanswered questions here. We are still waiting at this hour on the results of Ashley Robinson's autopsy. And that report should provide some answers about whether her fiancé had anything to do with her death.
45-year-old Joe McCann is facing questions about the death of his fiancée, Ashley Robinson. Police say the 31-year-old influencer, who goes by Ashley Jana online, was found unconscious in her luxury villa and later pronounced dead at the hospital just days after the couple got engaged while vacationing together in Zanzibar, a small island off the east coast of Africa.
She was showing us the engagement ring and where they were and where they were staying.
Seeing the sights and
the beautiful scenery. She was happy. It doesn't make any sense.
On Tuesday, investigators in Tanzania said they're questioning McCann and holding his passport until Robinson's autopsy is complete, but officials have not accused him of any wrongdoing.
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
We don't want to have.
It's under investigation and we don't know what went on.
In a sit-down with CBS News on Monday, Robinson's parents said they've largely been kept in the dark about their daughter's death, claiming they haven't heard from her fiancé or local officials since.
The fiancé did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel, and that's devastating when your daughter's halfway around the world.
Robinson's mother told news outlets hours before her daughter was rushed to the hospital, she and McCann reportedly had an argument so severe that hotel staff moved them into separate rooms. The government of Zanzibar is asking for patience while police carry out their death investigation, but Robinson's parents want answers.
We have zero contact with the police department, no contact with anyone from the medical field, nothing like that. So, that's the message we want, just transparency. Just transparency. We have no idea what happened. We just don't know anything right now.
And so far, we have been unable to reach Joe McCann, his relatives, or anyone from the investment company that he founded. The State Department says it's monitoring this case. Meanwhile, Robinson's family has started a crowdfunding page that has already raised more than $45,000 to support travel. Live in the newsroom tonight, Ross DeMattei.
All right. So I did a video on this. I did a video on this case before, but I wanted to circle back because there was some things that I didn't mention. Some of it is just kind of updates that I wanted to talk about. Number one, before I move on, even that, what they just mentioned with the crowdfunding, that bothers me because from what I understand, Joe has a net worth of $45 million. $45 million. And now your fiance's family has to set up a GoFundMe to travel to figure out what's going on with their daughter. And which leads me to point number two. He hasn't even spoken to the family. This whole thing is weird. I think I mentioned this in my previous video about this case. The fact that he has not talked to the family at all. Weird. If me and my wife were on vacation, I talk to my in-laws regularly, even outside of anything that might be happening but the fact that something so horrific has happened to the person that you say that you claim that you love so much, you haven't talked to them not once. You haven't called them not once. You haven't even needed them to grieve or to see how they were doing, to apologize for not protecting her, to apologize, even if there were nothing that happened. Which don't get me wrong, I believe that something happened. I don't believe that he's innocent here. I believe that when they got into this altercation, which led to him having a horrific moment, which he ended up taking her life, which I'm going to get into here in a second. But let's, just for a second, give him the benefit of the doubt and say that she really did take her own life, that she committed suicide, that she had suicidal ideations, that she was struggling with depression. They got into an altercation, and she took her own life. Even if that were true, you wouldn't reach out to her family. You wouldn't reach out to the father. You wouldn't reach out to the mother, see how they're doing, offer your support. On the flip side, needing support yourself to also coordinate arrangements to figure out what you need to do. You're not calling her family. You're not calling her siblings if she has siblings. You're not calling her extended family. This is just weird. Your family, forget you for a second. Your family's not reaching out. I know, and I'm not saying that every single family has to be set up the same way or anything like that, but my family would reach out to my wife. My family's wife would reach out to my family if something, God forbid, were to ever happen to me or anyone in our immediate family. The fact that you haven't even called them or acknowledged what's going on is just weird. The other piece to this is I don't think that people are making enough noise about the fact that they had to be separated. And the fact that they were so quick to rule this a suicide, even though there was a very clear dispute, a dispute so big, so obnoxious that they had to be separated. Two adults had to be separated. Two adults that are on vacation overseas in a luxury resort. That had to have been a bad fight. And at this point in 2026, don't tell me that there's not a videotape of this altercation, of one of them leaving the hotel, or what was happening leading up to it, or something along those lines, or witnesses that could hear arguing going on in next door, or something along those lines, of them going, or I don't know if the hotel management or the hotel secretaries or the clerks, went to their room because they were making so much noise. But videotape of that separation, of them saying, okay, whether they told Joe that he had to go to a different hotel, a different room, or if they told Ashley that she had to go to a different room, the reason why they chose which one that they chose to go to a different room, were police called, and were they the ones that separated them? And why was there not a phone call to the parents? And maybe there was. Maybe Ashley called her mom or her parents when that initial fight happened. So the fact that there was a fight so escalated, right, that was so heated that they had to be separated, to me, they could not have, I don't understand how they could have ruled this a suicide so quickly. And when you add the fact that they ruled this a suicide, and on top of the fact that he didn't even bother calling the parents, to me, all of this is just really, really suspicious. Now, this in and of itself is suspicious, and I think there's reasons to question things that are going on. Now, don't get me wrong, Joe looks a little bit older than Ashley. It looks like he is probably, in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. I could be completely wrong. Maybe it just doesn't age very well. But the reason why I say this is because he probably has other exes out there. And I'm going somewhere with this. He probably has other exes out there. I would be surprised if he had never been married. I'm assuming that maybe he's previously divorced. This is a pure speculation on my part. But at the very least, Ashley likely isn't his very first girlfriend. The reason why I'm saying all of this is that if it were me, I would be trying to reach out to his exes. I would, if God forbid something were to ever happen to someone that I love, that I care about, and it were a scenario like this where people aren't communicating with me, I would want to know what type of person that we're dealing with. If he could be a part of something that escalated so much that they had to be separated, and if he is the type of person that they had this type of argument that they had to be separated, I'm gonna touch on this point real quick because I want to go back to this point about him not calling the family. He should have called them then. He should have, if there was a fight so heated, so emotional that they had to be separated, he should have called them then. Flat out. If you're arguing with someone's daughter so much that they had to be placed in a different room, he should have called the parents then. But I digress. Let me get back to my other point. If I were this person's dad, the mother, I would be trying to, while they're in the States and waiting to get over to the luxury hotel to figure out what was going on, I'd be reaching out to his exes. I would be reaching out to any ex-wives, any people that he has previously dated, his previous ex. The likelihood is that they're going to discover a pattern. They're going to discover that whether he is abusive, whether he is controlling, what he was like whenever they broke up, what he was like if he had ever been previously married, what he was like whenever there were big events. Because something that people don't talk about very often, I mentioned this in my previous video, is that some people escalate when there's big events, and they had just recently got engaged. And I think that some people, they look at events like that. They look at events like holidays. They look at events like weddings and anniversaries and engagements, and they assume that people would be cordial and people would be in their best mood and in their best behavior because they're having a great time, or in their best behavior because they're on vacation. And sometimes in some situations that couldn't be any further from the truth. In some situations and some people, that's when people are at their worst. Number one, alcohol can play a major part into this. Number two, some people just aren't very good people. And when they get into places where there are big emotions, when people talk about people having big emotions, and people automatically assume negative emotions lead to something like this. But sometimes overwhelm of excitement could lead to something like this as well. And I don't mean that in a positive way. I mean overwhelm of excitement, overwhelm of the exhilaration of being engaged, or the overwhelm of the excitement of being on a trip. People who can't handle their emotions in the negative sense also can't handle their emotions on the positive sense, especially if you're going to start adding into this alcohol and drugs and those sorts of things. And we haven't even talked about whether or not he or they do drugs together, those sorts of things. So I would be really interested, but that's what I would do. I would be reaching out to exes. I would be reaching out to friends and friends of exes to see like what type of person this guy is. But that's just me. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But that's all I have for you today. For those of you who might be struggling in a situation like this, I do have resources for you down in my description box or in my show notes, depending on where you are watching or listening to this at. You can connect with a BetterHelp therapist who get 15% off your first month of therapy. With all that being said, thank you very much. I will check you out in the next episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications so you're notified every time I upload a new video. With all that being said, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next episode. You guys have a good one.